How would you like to improve your health and keep your family safe? You're listening to the Healthy Home Hacks Podcast, where we firmly believe enjoying optimal health shouldn't be a luxury. Healthy Home Authorities and husband and wife team Ron and Lisa will help you create a home environment that will level up your health. It's time to hear from the experts. Listen in on honest conversations and gain the best tips and advice. If you're ready to dive in and improve your well-being and increase your energy, you're in the right place. All right, here are your hosts, biobiologists, authors, media darlings, vicarious vegans, and avocado aficionados, Ron and Lisa Barris.
Gals, and you guys too. Have you ever suffered through painful waxing, laborious lasering, or threading torture and injury to remove unwanted hair? I definitely have. If you have too, stay tuned. You do not want to miss today's show. Our guest, Salome Sallehy, is here to reveal a safe, non-toxic, natural, and gentle way to get rid of that unwanted hair. And this is a method over 3,000 years old. After a lifetime of waxing and shaving, Salome found an alternative that not only gives miraculous glow, but is gentle on sensitive skin and the planet. Her secret sauce is all benefits with no risk, no strips, no spatulas, no waste, and no nasty chemicals. It is so natural, you could actually eat it.
Salome's professional career in marketing began long before she graduated and received her business degree, pioneering some of the first mobile app promotion practices that we know today. As the founder and president of Sugar Wax, Salome met her sugar guru while traveling in Australia. Salome then met her sugar tribe in the south of France. These women, seventh generation sugar makers from North America, showed her the art of sugar making in the cavernous hammams beneath the bustle of the city. Salome was empowered by these women and this art and decided to pay it forward. Her Sugar Wax formula has modernized the ancient art of sugar to deliver a safe, easy, and effective hair removal system that can be used anywhere.
Salome is here today to share more with our listeners. Stay tuned, guys, until the very end because we have a special discount code just for Ron and Lisa listeners. Woohoo! Today, Salome now oversees manufacturing, product development, sales channels, and community development. She is also leading the charge on educating the public on clean beauty and ingredient toxicity in cosmetics and personal care products through the Natural Beauty Summit.
Welcome to the show, Salome.
Woo-hoo! Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honor to be talking with you guys. I can't tell you how excited I am.
We are so thrilled too. This is definitely a show that we have never done before, but something that I know everybody listening can relate to. Like I said at the top, it's for guys too, right? Hair removal and the men has become really big and important. And it's that never ending battle that we're all trying to have a pain-free experience. But really what's cool about what we're going to get into is that yours is not just painless, but it's actually good for the environment and it's healthy and it's non-toxic. So we're going to get into that. We're so thrilled you're here and let's just get started.
Yeah.
Salome, what is sugar wax and how is it different from any other types of hair removal wax?
It's different in every way, but let's just start with what it is. So sugar wax is basically a sugar-based waxy substance, and there are countless ways of treating the sugar, heat treating, cooking, there's various ways to make sugar wax, and not all sugar waxes are equal. We have sugar wax that you apply like conventional wax with a spatula, and you remove it with a strip. And we also have our sugar wax, which is reusable, which you don't need anything for it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about the science of that a little bit. And what's really different than any other type of wax is everything. Everything that you've ever experienced that was unpleasant during waxing, whether it was your skin being stripped off, the ingrown hairs after, the hair breakage that results in regrowth in as little as 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
All of those, any sensitivity, not being able to go out into the sun. You don't have any of that with sugar.
Wow.
The application is the opposite of waxing in the sense that when you apply it against the grain of the hair growth and you remove it in the direction of hair growth.
Oh, okay. That's different.
It's different and it's interesting because the hair follicle isn't being pulled back.
Oh, right.
It slides out easy. You have less breakage and it's less painful.
Yeah, that sounds less painful.
Wait, how does it know how to do that?
Well, you do it. You apply it, Ron.
Oh, I see. I've said never. Okay.
He obviously hasn't tried it yet.
No, I'll totally show you a demo. But what makes this type of sugar wax so special is that we've made this formula so that it actually doesn't bind to living skin cells.
Oh, wow.
And what you tried, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't feel anything, which is a very common reaction. It's because you're not pulling on living skin cells.
Oh.
Every other wax out there, it's like glue, right? So it sticks to everything and it's literally removing a layer of your living skin.
Yeah.
And sugar doesn't do that.
Which is why you're so red after a waxing, right? You're just like, you see her coming towards you with that spatula and you're like, it's going to be painful.
You know what's coming. Right? Yes.
And threading too. I actually tried threading once. I know people swear by it. Oh my gosh. I had the worst experience. I only did it once and it was so incredibly painful. I don't know how these women endure it. It was on my face. There's the little peach fuzz around my chin and cheeks. I was in tears laying on the table as she did it. And I left and Salome, my face, it looked like blisters almost. It was all red, like welts. Like I couldn't go out of the house for a couple of days. And I sent the esthetician the pictures and I was like, what on earth? And she's like, well, you must be really sensitive. I'm like, yeah, well, it would have been nice to be warned that this was a side effect.
Me too.
That's something you don't hear people talk about, right?
Yeah. And it's so funny because you and I are among very few people who have that reaction. And that reaction and that pain from threading is actually what took me on this path. It took me out of my very executive career in technology and catapulted me in this because I, like you, would get threaded, but I did it regularly. Painful and awful. And I would come out and I know the welts that you're talking about. They're like these hives. I just stuck my face in a beehive, got stung all over. Yeah, and then I would need like 5 to 8 hours for the skin to calm down.
Yeah. When it first happens, you don't know if that's permanent. Oh my God. The esthetician, she's like, what? Like your skin? Whoa. She was even shocked when I sent her the photo. Needless to say, I never went back to that.
And one of the things that's really common with waxing is people who do have sensitive skin, or they may be on a certain medication that affects their skin barrier, or acne, or 100 other things that we can get into a little bit more in depth. But having that, like you can't wax.
Yeah.
You can't do a lot of hair removal things because it's so intense on your skin.
Your largest organ. I have one quick question before we go on. How long does sugar wax do the results last?
It really, really varies, but we say an average of 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, wow. That's great.
We've had customers write us and say, like we had an older customer and she sugared her arm and she'd never removed the hair on her arms before. And she's like, it took 4 months for it to grow back.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Well, you're removing the hair from the follicle, which means it's going to take longer than when you shave it or cut the hair or whatever.
Right.
But because you're not having the breakage that you typically get with waxing, the regrowth is a lot slower. And the more you do it, the longer it takes.
Nice.
Like when I first started sugaring my face, and you actually don't even really need to sugar your face for fuzz. I now train estheticians to do sugaring facials because it binds to the dead skin like a really deep exfoliation.
Okay.
But I used to do it like once every 4 to 6 weeks, like when I was threading, waiting for it to regrow and all that.
Oh.
And I've been doing it regularly for the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And now I do it like every 3 months.
Just every 3 months, just to get rid of that little peach fuzz, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good.
Like clean up around the brows. And sometimes like in the summer, I'll like leave it on the bridge of my nose for like a minute just to lift off that dead skin. And then you're glowing after.
Really? So it's safe to put all over your face?
All over.
All over. Slather it.
I have a very odd question, and maybe this is for men, for example, right? When you shave, why wouldn't you just sugar wax your face if you don't want to have a 5 o'clock shadow for a week or two? I've always wondered that.
It's not a super simple answer, but I will answer it. We typically don't recommend that men use it on the beard. And the reason is because the hair is so deeply rooted.
Oh.
And it's got so many connections and binds to your cardiovascular system. So you've got like veins and vessels. So when you remove that hair, it's going to bleed out of the pore.
Oh, I see.
Having said that,
Because it's so thick and coarse, right?
yeah.
Compared to women.
Having said that, I have trained an esthetician who actually treats the male neck. She's in the Bahamas, and she does it as a service because a lot of the men there, because it's so hot and humid, when they shave, they get ingrown hairs, and they get a lot of them, and it's curly hair because they're Bahamian.
Oh.
Okay.
So she actually sugars their neck, and they stop shaving and they stop getting the ingrown hairs. I've actually, once at a tattoo show, I actually sugared an Asian fella, his whole face, and took his beard too, because it was like thinner and sparse. So I think it has a lot to do with your genetics and ethnicity. Like if you're like my brother, who's like Middle Eastern man, and he's got like a full thick beard, like that is going to be real.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Okay.
You know, just kind of gauge it. It works really well on the neck. I mean, I can do it to my husband.
Oh, okay. So Ron, you could do it because Ron gets that razor stubble for sure.
I should have mentioned neck. I was kind of talking about the neck when I first mentioned that. You're right, because that area can be kind of like itchy or bothersome. So thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, the sensitive area. What about the men's back hair? I mean, that can be really coarse. So is that not a good spot either?
No, it's great. I actually, yeah, we just had TV personality recently.
Who is it? Who has hairy back? Who has a hairy back?
She wanted to test it on her boyfriend's back, and he's Italian.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lot of hair. They both loved it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a Valentine's Day thing to do together.
Wait, are they still together after this experience, or is he still in pain?
No, they're even better now. She's hairless back. Who is it? What was her name? Can you tell us?
No.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll just make up a name. Was it Goldie Hawn?
We'll make up a name. Like Christina, first name.
Aguilera?
Oh, okay.
That's all I can say.
I know who it is. Christina Hall.
Oh, yes.
Christina with the Italian boyfriend.
Oh, I think I know that is. Yeah, it's so funny.
HGTV, maybe? No, I don't think he's Italian. Okay, moving on.
Or sealed.
Good job.
Salome, what are some of the health concerns that might lead someone to search for an alternative method of hair removal rather than just pursue the conventional methods that we already know?
Okay, I have to precede this with saying this. Being an entrepreneur is hard, right? And you literally want to quit all the time.
We know.
This is a different show. Come on.
Yeah. But the people who have certain skin conditions, which I'll get into, and health conditions that have found no solace in any other method of hair removal, I have literally seen them cry from joy. And that's what keeps me doing what I'm doing.
Wow.
And so just to kind of get into some of those things, like one of the really common conditions among women is PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a hormonal condition which causes hirsutism, which is rapid hair growth in areas that women typically don't get hair, like the chin and the chest.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
It's an androgen hormone related.
Really? That's not testosterone related?
Not testosterone, but there is an androgen spike, which causes this kind of hair growth. And a lot of times when your hormones are a little bit out of whack like that,
Wow.
it's accompanied by acne, like serious, sometimes boil like acne.
Mm.
Imagine that you have this hair and then you have this skin condition and you can't wax it. You can sit there and pluck it, which is why women with PCOS never leave their house without a set of tweezers. I've learned this. And it's because it's constant and it's
Wow.
fast. It doesn't
it's
grow at a
constant.
normal
Wow.
hair growth rate. It grows twice as fast typically. So a lot of women are shaving, and after some
Wow.
years, their skin's taken a beating from the overstripping of the razor. They have a 5 o'clock shadow, and
Mm.
it can get pretty intense. For
Oh.
hirsutism,
Yeah.
like really that kind of hair growth, you're really out of options, but we have seen incredible results with the sugaring. It's so gentle, so you can sugar over acne as long as there isn't like too much dead buildup, dead skin buildup, because
Oh, wow.
that's what the sugar binds to is the dead skin.
Yeah.
You get like it slows down the hair growth. So I teach a biohack to women with PCOS to actually kind of permanently slow down their hair growth. And it's great for that.
Mm-hmm.
People who have eczema, psoriasis,
Wow.
these are autoimmune conditions, if you will, which
Mhm.
makes their skin really sensitive to a lot of hair removal methods. So they've been able to like use sugaring and then they stay clear for like weeks and weeks. And it's not like shaving where you have to do it all the time and you're constantly stressing your skin out. These are the people that have kept me going because I hear their stories and I'm so touched.
That's amazing.
Very nice.
That is so great. And I'm going to give you a plug here. Well, I know we're talking about your product in particular, but you have a 4-part system, which I thought was so neat. We've heard of sugaring before, but sometimes it doesn't go this deep in like the care of the skin. So first you have what's called Clean Slate. I have it here. And this would clean your skin before you start. I got to read this, guys, because our listeners are going to love this. It's non-toxic, vegan, hypoallergenic, cruelty-free, paraben-free, phthalate-free, and sulfate-free.
Nice. Yes.
And then you do that detox dust, and then you'd put the Glow Goop, which is the actual sugaring product. And then when you take that off with no strips, you hydrate your skin and soothe your skin with what's called Silk Slip. This one is a hyaluronic acid, a triple hyaluronic, and it's also non-toxic, vegan, cruelty-free, paraben-free, phthalate-free, and sulfate-free. Salome, you can use this on your face just as a daily moisturizer, right? Or just to help your skin. You could use it by itself without using it with the product.
I use it every day. Actually, my husband uses it too. It's just a great moisturizer. It's really rich in hyaluronic acid and it doesn't really leave anything behind.
I put it on. I actually have it on right now.
Oh, amazing.
You are glowing.
I thank you.
Okay.
I love hyaluronic acid. It's the plumper, right? Isn't it the ingredient that plumps?
It does. So what it does is it actually injects your skin cells with the hyaluronic acid, which helps the cells absorb moisture and hold moisture. And the reason why it's triple hyaluronic acid is because so often we go to a waxing salon or we do waxing at home. And then afterwards, we've stripped the skin. It's all fresh and glowy and gorgeous. And we slather on these like thick, kind of gross creams. And I was like, and toxic. I'm not even going to get into that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. Shaving cream and lotions and perfume and all of these fragrances and things that are
not good for you.
Oh my God, going straight into our bloodstream.
Straight, because now that skin, the absorbability of that skin, you've improved it by taking off all the dead skin. So you've removed the barriers. So what you're nourishing your skin with after really matters. So the triple hyaluronic acid is actually like 3 different molecular weights of hyaluronic acid. So your skin can absorb it, whether you're using it on your face or you're using it on your knees.
Nice. Okay. Anywhere you have dry skin, crepey skin, is it good for that too?
Absolutely. I use it daily. It's actually really helped me like minimize my skincare because I also have 2 small children and ain't nobody got time for too much skincare stuff.
Right. Well, this system really, when you think about it, it is such a time saver because I literally never done laser and I'm the shave girl. I was actually, now I'm the sugar girl from shaving to sugaring. It's time consuming. You've got to shave every day. I mean, you get the little stubbles. It's unsightly. Obviously, we all think of vacationing because I think a lot of people will save their waxes for a vacation. Okay, I'm going to be in my bikini and I want to look great, but why not look great every day? Like, why have that be like once or twice a year? And you can do this. So it is the fact that you're saying it lasts 4 to 6 weeks. Like, that's such a time saver to do it once a month or whatever that is.
Huge time saver. I mean, it's a slower process because when you apply it, you kind of have to pull it on a few times. And I'm happy to do like a little demo. It's a little bit of a slower process than like just zip, zip, zip shaving. But like, then you save so much time in the long run because you're not doing it for 15 minutes in the shower every day or every other day. You do it once and you forget about it.
Right. Those razor blades aren't cheap. Constantly buying your shaving cream. Because I think some people might go, oh, it's an extra cost. I'm sure you're saving money and waste from all those disposable razor blades, right? And all that plastic.
Yeah. And thank you for touching on that. I mean, for me, because I've always been such an environmentalist, the environmental factor is like table stakes. But our sugar, when you're done with it, you reuse the same lump like 8 to 10 times.
Oh, okay. I saw your video and I was like, how many times can you reuse that?
I'm just going to do a little demo for you.
Okay, we're going to do a demo.
When you're done, you just throw it into the compost. Biodegradable.
Wow.
Yes. I'm just going to do it on the back of my hand. So first I want to put on the detox dust. And the reason why I want to do this is because sugar is water soluble. That water creates a barrier and doesn't allow the sugar to bind to the dead skin. So you want it to be nice and dry. And this powder is all natural ingredients. We've got like chamomile flowers that we actually mill in our own facility.
Wow.
We've got tapioca in there and natural clay. So now I'm just kind of like reaching in here.
Nice. You just can put your fingers in. You obviously want to clean your fingers. You don't need a spatula to pull that out or anything.
You don't, but if you've got like really long nails and you want to use something, you totally can. But it's also like you want to start with clean hands. But just so you know, this formula, we've actually tested it in a lab. And I was to introduce bacteria in here. The bacteria would die within an hour.
Oh, wow.
Sugar in World War II was used as antibacterial to treat soldiers' wounds because it has that very antibacterial property, which you would never think.
Nice. Oh, now you just gave Ron more excuses to eat.
I know what I was thinking the whole time. Me and hummingbirds can have this all the time, right? Sugar.
Yeah, all the time. So what I'm doing is I just apply it and pull it back, and I'm doing it 3 times. This is what we call the triple pull technique. And I could go longer. And then I kind of want to have a little lip at the end.
Right.
Because then I grab the edge and I flick it off. And if I had hair, you would see it in here. But you can kind of see like maybe the texture of the dead skin that's in there. And then you just roll it back on.
Right.
And you just repeat. And if I do this to the back of my hand a few more times, it's going to be glowing. There's going to be like a noticeable difference between my right and left hand. So you just kind of like pull it on, and there's no wrong way of doing it.
Wow.
And by the way, listeners, there's how-to videos for this that we're going to share in the show notes later.
Yeah, we'll put links to this. Exactly.
And, I know that this is a new way of doing hair removal. So we have tons of content that will teach anyone. You don't have to have any experience or know-how to be able to do this. You just have to be willing to try something new. And what's hilarious is I kind of thought, oh, this is great for moms because we're too busy to make waxing appointments and we need to be waxing or like removing hair at like 10 o'clock at night. But a lot of young girls have taken over their mom's jars of sugar wax. And the slime generation just knows how to do this. It's incredible.
Really? The slime generation?
Wow.
They watch the video once and they're like, oh yeah. And then they're like sugaring their mom. I can't tell you how many of these stories I have heard.
Wow.
But what happens is as long as the sugar holds this shape, this density, it can be reused.
Mm-hmm.
One of my hacks to make one piece of sugar last longer.
What's that?
Is I'll do it like in a cooler time of day or in an air-conditioned room.
Okay.
So that every time I take it off my skin, it cools down and hardens. Because every time you put it on your skin actually warms it up.
Right.
Okay.
That's why you have to have that dusting, the detox dust, right?
The detox dust.
To keep it. from sweating, right? You don't want to do this if you're sweating or you're hot. I read the wax needs to be between 70 and 90 degrees. So you will warm up the wax, maybe in a bowl of hot water or something like that.
In the summer, I never warm it up. I say generally 10 seconds in the microwave. But if you can make a dent in your sugar, remember the first time I did it and my finger came out clean because there was no stringy bits, then it's soft enough to use. You just want it to be pliable enough that you can like kind of with some effort, like pinch out like a little ball.
A ball. Okay. You don't want it too runny.
Okay.
And then when you're done with those 8 passes, say on your arm or leg, then you compost that ball, right? You wouldn't put it back in the jar.
No, don't put it back in the jar because now it's got dead skin in it. It's got hair in it.
That would be gross. We don't want to pull that out of the jar. If you were to compare the environmental impact of the most common hair removal methods like shaving, how does it compare to sugaring?
This is like zero waste, biodegradable. It has no impact on our environment, like those hair removal creams or foams or sprays. God knows they've come up with every version.
Right.
So incredibly toxic, not just for your skin, but also for the waterways when it goes down the drain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, razors can't be recycled because you've got plastic and you've got metal. You literally have to dismantle it to be able to recycle it.
Like Krebs coffee, same thing. They're like a huge landfill polluter because you have to separate the plastic from the metal. And no one's doing that. They sell tools, but it's like, you got to get in there and work it.
And with waxing, a lot of people don't know. Actually, one of the primary ingredients in most conventional waxes is rosins or polymers, which are basically plastic.
Ew. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Petroleum derived, right? A lot of petroleum derived.
Yeah, a lot of petroleum derived ingredients, especially those ones that when you apply it, then it hardens. So you don't need the strip.
Is that like the purple? I used to do that one.
Oh, interesting.
So that's just plastic.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, Salome, a lot of people get laser hair removal. I know it's expensive up front, but the results could last for years. Isn't that a healthy hair removal option?
To be fair, I've had laser as well before I discovered the sugar, and the results can be really good. I think that it's definitely a viable option, but where health is concerned and what a lot of even laser technicians don't know is that you can actually elicit an autoimmune response from your body when you're lasering more than half of your body surface area.
Oh, wow.
If you ever go in for a laser session and you're like, oh, I'm going to do both legs and bikini, that's more than half of your skin surface area. Sometimes if a tech is a little bit more experienced and knowledgeable, they will tell you that to take it easy, you might have a fever after and not to worry about it. But if you think about how many toxins in our environment, in our food that we're battling with every single day, that is already making our immune systems like so antsy and on edge, why would you want to do that to yourself? If you're going to laser, do it like one leg at a time, minimum 8 weeks apart.
8 weeks. Oh, wow. 8 weeks between each laser. Yeah. And we talk about that, Salome, the body burden so much on this podcast because you're exactly right. It's the little doses of toxins that we're getting exposure to every day through our food, our water, the air we breathe, the bedding we sleep on, the personal skincare that we use, the furniture that comes into our home, carpets, paints, walls, everything in your home. And so people will say, well, this product, even though it has cancer-causing chemicals, well, it's such a low level. Yeah, but nobody tests about the long-term chronic exposure to these chemicals. And we have an epidemic of chronic illness in this country, and that people have to start reducing their body burden and reducing those toxic exposures. So I love that you brought that up. Like with any laser, it's risky. I'm sure there's risks that you have to sign when you go in to get a laser, like, hey, if I get burnt or whatever, you're not liable.
Sorry, I was just going to say it also doesn't work on everyone. And what I see a lot, and it like breaks my heart, is like these young girls, teenagers who are like wanting to wear their crop tops, like wanting to wear their short shorts and they're hairy and they don't know how to wax. They don't like shaving because they're always cutting themselves and they have to walk around with Band-Aids. And somehow they talk a parent into letting them get lasered. But like laser, every time your hormones, like hair growth is a function of hormones. So every time your hormones change, you're going to have that hair come back, like a pregnancy or growth, like any teenage, like you really shouldn't be doing laser until after the age of 25. If you're going to do it in small doses, like small body parts, if that is the only way to go. And then on most people, it doesn't work all over. Like it'll work on their face, but it won't work on their body. Also, the function of hair, especially in our toxin purge sites, like your lymph areas, your underarms, your bikini area, groin areas, they're there to help your body carry out the toxins
and remove bacteria.
So how many women have I heard from that have had their bikini lasered? And then like years and years later, there's no hair growing there, but all of the pores are like filled with white pus and blackheads and this and that, because that stuff can't come out.
No, that's interesting. No, I never knew that. I think we've gotten to be a society where we're just so obsessed with youth and beauty that people, especially the younger generation, they're getting their hair like high school and before. They're getting fillers in their teens. They're getting boob jobs for their graduation, like even junior high. It's really sad. Yes, we all want to look our best. And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing touch-ups. I really don't. In moderation and really dealing with the issues, especially as a teen, like you said, like you should be waiting until you're 18. Well, your brain's not fully developed till you're 25. So I like your 25 number. Wait till you're 25, then decide, do I want to take the risk? Because everything has a risk, everything that you do medically.
And you know, like the silver lining of our time right now, we're becoming more aware of this stuff. The silver lining is we're also going into a time where diversity is being really celebrated. Beauty is being expanded. We're becoming more tolerant and accepting of like different nose shapes and lip shapes. So I feel like we're going in a good direction.
Yeah, I agree. Celebrate our differences. Sometimes, we're here in Southern California and you can go out and you're like, everybody looks the same. Like all the girls have the same color hair, same length hair, and it's like, wait a minute, where's all this like uniqueness? We need to celebrate our uniqueness.
Absolutely.
Salome, why do you think that sugaring is catching on now, even though it's been around for so many years, such a long time?
I don't really have a really good answer to that, but I think the more we have the Instagram culture of like everyone wants to look like a dolphin and have no hair, the more people are starting to deal with like the consequences and side effects of all the conventional methods of hair removal. People are really looking for an alternative. One of the things that I found when I discovered this and we're like, okay, we need to I'm still holding it, guys, mass produce this and make it available to everyone. Another thing is that sugar is very sensitive and volatile. While you can do a lot of things with it, as we know, you also have to have a very controlled environment to be able to get consistent results regularly. That's one of the things, like we couldn't actually get a contract manufacturer to make our formula because no one has that setup. Like we have to climate control our lab when we're in production. And one of the funny things, I mean, maybe this is a trade secret, I shouldn't be giving it away. Don't think too much about it. We only do production in the spring and in the fall. Also, the atmospheric pressure can affect the outcome. So part of it is that it's starting to catch on now because we really haven't had the technology get that consistent result en masse.
Nice. I love it. Going back to the laser, I meant to ask you this. When people do the laser hair removal, is it something they have to redo like years later, or is it a one-time?
You almost always have to redo it, but with what frequency, like how often, how many years, it really varies. I've heard of people who are like, I did 16 sessions pretty much upfront, 6 to 10, you're going to get results.
And it's painful. I've tried, I haven't done it fully, but I've had like a little sample and oh my God, I don't have a high pain tolerance. So I was like, yeah, no.
And then some people have to retouch every couple of years. And I've heard of people having to who do more upfront, they'll only retouch after 5 or 6 or 7 years.
That gets costly. That's an expensive procedure.
Well, if someone wants to make a change and try out sugaring, what advice do you have for them?
You're doing a great thing because it's good for your skin and the environment. So love it. But I would say understand our sugar wax consistency is key. If you want this to be able to like do this reusable type of sugar wax, consistency is really key. You want it to be not runny and you want it to be not warm. Start hard because the more hard it is, the easier it is for you to control it. And that way you can figure out your technique, the application, the flick. Once you get that, then you're going to be like, I can sugar any part of me at any time.
I'm a sugar queen. Well, it's like anything, right? When you first put on eyeshadow, you're like,
and I would say like you need to be a little persistent at first. One of the things I found that if you're not part of the slime generation that watches the videos and they get it, you want to give it 3 different sittings and like start with a small area so that you can kind of like get a feel for it. Another thing is a lot of people who are new to sugaring, they will work, like they'll keep going with the same piece until it literally starts to fall apart and melt on their skin, and then they can't get it off because now it's liquid. So if that happens, it's no big deal. You just like run it under water. Warm water will melt it. Cold water will harden it. So you can harden it and peel it off.
okay.
Or you can just melt it off and let it wash down the drain. Super easy cleanup.
Okay.
That's a good tip. Wow. Well, this was so exciting and interesting. This whole world exists that we didn't know about. Friends, remember, the Sugar Wax system is clean, green, and effective. Salome wants you to take control of your fuzz with a product that's derived from nature and returns to nature without harming the planet. And she's giving our fabulous listeners 15% off any order with code RON and Lisa 15, and that's RON & Lisa 15. Head over right now to sugarwax.com to start shopping and waxing. Spring is right around the corner.
We'll have the links to all of their social media accounts, including their YouTube channel with loads of how-to videos in the show notes at ronandlisa.com/podcast.
Stay tuned for the next episode and get ready to up-level your health. Bye. Bye, Salome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
See you then. Bye.
This episode of the Healthy Home Hacks podcast has ended, but be sure to subscribe for more healthy living strategies and tactics to help you create the healthy home you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.